Welcome to Insight, concise comment on current issues from the Jubilee Centre. Today we're talking to Bob White, Professor of Geophysics at Cambridge University and a Director of the Faraday Institute for Science and Religion. Bob, tell us, why should Christians of all people care for the environment?
Well, the main reason is right there in the very first chapter of the Bible. We should care because God cares about the creation He made. If you look at just Genesis chapter 1, for instance, when the creation is described, 6 times God says, it was good. It was good. What He'd made was good. And at the end, He's made humans. He says He's looked at everything He'd made, and it was very good. So God cares, so we ought to care about it. Second thing is that God gives a commandment. The very first commandment He gave to humankind was to rule over and steward, if you like, His creation in Genesis 1:28. And He says the same thing again in Genesis 2, that we should care for His creation. And the way we should care for it, it says in Genesis, is in the same way as God would care for it. So it's as if we are vice-regents on His behalf, if you like. We should care for this world in the way that He would care for it. And of course Jesus gives us a model of that as a shepherd pastor, if you like. So we should care for the world because God does. We should care for it because He commanded us to, straightforwardly. Third thing, it's a way of showing love for our neighbour, because if what we're doing is causing global climate change and causing people, for instance, in sub-Saharan Africa to die from floods or from droughts, then we're not showing much love for our neighbour if we just carry on doing whatever it is that's causing that climate change. So it's care for neighbour, love for neighbour, again following our Lord's command to us. So that's 3 straightforward reasons, because God cares for it, because He told us to do so, and because that's how we show love for our neighbour. But I think a really significant one that some Christians miss out is that there is a Christian hope for the future, that there will be a new creation, new heavens and new earth, and it's a new earth where God is going to come down and live with His people. So God's not going to give up on this creation. He's going to use it. He's going to purify it, of course, from all sin and unrighteousness, but it will be the place He made it to be, the place He intended it to be, where we can have relationship with Him and live in perfect harmony with both Him and His creation. So that Christian hope for the future gives us real reason to work in this life now, in the way that we will for all eternity, if we're Christians.
Bob, I recently received a letter back from a Jubilee Centre supporter about the book Christianity, Climate Change and Sustainable Living that you co-authored with Nick Spencer. And it had this message scrolled across the top of it: new heaven and earth coming soon, people need saving. You wouldn't disagree with that statement, would you?
No, absolutely not.
In what ways do you think it may be misleading?
Well, it's interesting that He knows when it's coming, when nobody else in the world, not even Jesus, does. But just to set that aside, it's misleading because if we just think of one aspect of people, their relationship with God, which of course is crucially important, we're forgetting all those other relationships that we have with one another. And as I said earlier, if we don't care for people, then we're not obeying God's commands. So how can we say we're loving God if we don't love other people? So if what we do damages them, then that's not a very good picture of the kingdom of heaven coming to earth, isn't it? And yet Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is here now. So the way we behave now should be modelling the kingdom of heaven in the future that He intends, when all things will be put right. Now, of course, it's only a pale shadow now, but it will be fulfilled in all its glory when the new heavens and new earth come. So that's the reason to care for this world now and to care for other people, because by doing so, actually, we're modelling to them God's kingdom as it will be in the future.
Bob White, thank you very much.